Every dinner at my own table came with a fresh insult. It didn't matter whether I cooked the meal, paid for the groceries, or quietly sat in my wheelchair trying not to be a burden. My daughter-in-law always found a way to remind me that, in her eyes, I was nothing more than an old man waiting to die. She thought I couldn't fight back. She thought my son would always choose her. Most of all, she believed the biggest lie she'd ever told would stay buried forever. She was wrong. My name is Arthur, and I'm 69 years old. 3 years ago, a stroke left me unable to walk without assistance. Before that, I'd spent 40 years building a successful construction company with my own hands. Every brick, every contract, every sleepless night had been for one reason: my family, especially my 2 children. My daughter Emma had always been thoughtful and hardworking. She studied hard, built her own career, and never asked me for anything. My son Daniel had always been different. Whenever he made mistakes, his mother would say, "He's just finding himself." Whenever Emma succeeded, somehow Daniel needed another chance. I paid his university tuition 3 times because he kept dropping out. I cleared his debts twice. When he crashed my truck while drunk, I told the insurance company I had been driving. Looking back now, maybe that's where I failed. I taught him that someone else would always clean up his mess. After my wife passed away, loneliness became my closest companion. Daniel suddenly became attentive. "Dad," he smiled one afternoon, "you shouldn't live alone anymore. Move in with us." His wife, Melissa, smiled just as warmly. "We'd love to take care of you." Emma looked uncomfortable. "Dad, are you sure?" I laughed. "They're family." I wish I'd listened to my daughter instead. The first few weeks were peaceful. Then everything changed. Melissa began treating me like unwanted furniture. "If you're eating breakfast, at least don't make a mess. You left your medicine on the counter again. Can you stop coughing so loudly?" Each comment sounded small. Together, they became unbearable. Dinner became the worst part of every day. She'd place everyone's food first. Mine always came last. Sometimes it was cold. Sometimes she'd forget my tea. Sometimes she'd sigh dramatically before placing the plate in front of me. One evening, she smiled sweetly. "Arthur, old people really don't need much food anyway." Daniel laughed. I forced myself to smile. Inside, something broke. Emma visited every Sunday. Whenever she asked how I was doing, Melissa answered before I could. "Oh, he's wonderful. He's spoiled. We treat him like a king." Emma looked at me carefully. "You okay, Dad?" I lied. "I'm fine." I couldn't bring myself to destroy what little family I had left. Weeks turned into months. The insults became entertainment. Melissa started inviting friends for dinner. Whenever they came over, she'd joke loudly. "Our extra child eats with us every night." Everyone laughed. I laughed too. Not because it was funny, because I didn't want to cry. One afternoon, I overheard an argument upstairs. Melissa sounded furious. "We can't wait forever." Daniel whispered, "Keep your voice down. He'll eventually change the will." My heart stopped. So that's what this had been about. Not love. Not family. Money. That evening, Melissa served meatloaf. She placed my plate down so hard the gravy splashed across the table. "You know," she said loudly, "some parents understand when it's time to stop being selfish." I looked up. "What do you mean?" She smiled. "Nothing." Daniel wouldn't even meet my eyes. 3 days later, they finally said it. "Dad." Daniel began carefully. "We've been thinking." Melissa folded her hands dramatically. "This house is expensive." I nodded. "It is." "So?" Daniel swallowed. "We think it's only fair if you sell your house and transfer the money to us." Silence filled the room. "My house." Melissa leaned forward. "You're living here now. What would you even do with another house?" I stared at them. That home held every memory of my wife. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every family photograph. "I won't sell it." Melissa's smile disappeared instantly. "So you're choosing bricks over your own son?" Daniel sighed loudly. "Dad, don't make this difficult." That sentence haunted me all night. The next morning, Melissa served burnt toast. She looked directly at me. Maybe if people appreciated kindness, others would help them. I quietly ate every bite. Over the following weeks, life became miserable. She stopped washing my clothes. She hid my medication twice. She complained every time I asked for help reaching something. Daniel said nothing. Absolutely nothing. One Sunday, Emma arrived unexpectedly. She noticed bruises on my arm. Dad. I quickly covered them. It's nothing. Melissa laughed. He bumped into the table. Emma wasn't convinced. Later she whispered, "If something's wrong, tell me." I shook my head. No. She hugged me before leaving. I watched her drive away with tears in my eyes. That night, Melissa entered my room holding several papers. "We've made everything easy." "What is this?" "Power of attorney." I looked at her. "No, you haven't even read it." I said no. She crossed her arms. "You can't even take care of yourself. I've managed 69 years. She stormed out. From downstairs, I heard her shouting, "He's impossible." Daniel answered quietly, "Just give him time." "No," she snapped. "We're running out of time." "Running out of time? For what?" I couldn't sleep. The following afternoon, I decided to visit my old lawyer without telling anyone. Getting there wasn't easy. A neighbor kindly drove me. When I explained everything, my lawyer became unusually quiet. Then he asked one strange question. "Arthur, have you checked your mail recently?" "My mail?" He opened a drawer. "You've had several official letters returned because no one accepted delivery." "Returned? Who sent them?" He handed me one unopened envelope. The return address belonged to a government pension investigation office. Confused, I opened it. As I read the first page, my hands began trembling. Someone had been collecting disability benefits using my name, benefits I had never applied for. And according to the documents, the payments had been going into an account I had never seen before. Then I noticed something else. The account holder's emergency contact was Melissa. At that exact moment, I realized dinner table insults had never been the worst thing she'd done to me. They were only the beginning. I must have read that letter 10 times before the truth finally sank in. Someone had filed disability benefit claims in my name. The money wasn't being deposited into my account. It wasn't paying for my medication. It wasn't helping with my care. It had been quietly transferred into a private bank account connected to Melissa. I looked at my solicitor, Mr. Harris. This has to be a mistake." He slowly shook his head. "I don't think it is, Arthur." My stomach turned. "Can someone really do this?" "They can if they have enough of your personal information." He looked directly into my eyes. "And from what you've told me, Melissa has had access to everything. Your identification, medical records, pension letters, even your signatures." For the first time in months, something replaced sadness. Anger. Not the loud kind. The calm kind that makes you think clearly. Mr. Harris folded his hands. "I recommend you don't confront them yet." "What should I do?" "Let them believe you know nothing." That was exactly what I did. When I returned home, Melissa greeted me with the same fake smile. "Where have you been?" "Oh, just visiting an old friend." She narrowed her eyes. "You should tell us before leaving." I simply nodded. That evening, dinner was roast chicken. She dropped my plate in front of me as if feeding a stray dog. "I hope you're grateful." Daniel didn't even look up from his phone. I quietly thanked her. Inside, I was already planning my next move. Over the following week, Mr. Harris helped me contact the authorities. They immediately opened an investigation. The investigator asked me one important question. Would you be willing to cooperate without alerting them? Absolutely. A financial audit began. The investigators discovered something even worse. Melissa hadn't stolen one payment. She had stolen nearly 2 years' worth of disability benefits. She had also redirected several tax refunds addressed to me. Every missing letter suddenly made sense. Every time she insisted on checking the mailbox first. Every document that mysteriously disappeared. Every excuse. It had all been planned. Then came the biggest surprise. The investigators asked to install recording equipment during one scheduled interview at my house. I agreed. 3 days later, Melissa walked into my room. She carried those same power of attorney papers again. "Arthur." I looked up. "What is it?" "If you sign these today, life will become much easier." "For who?" She smiled. "For everyone." "What if I don't?" Her smile disappeared. "You'll eventually end up in a care home." She thought that threat would scare me. Instead, I quietly asked, "Would that make you happy?" She laughed. "It would certainly solve our problems." Every word was recorded. The following week, the investigators requested one final meeting. They wanted everyone present. Melissa believed they were reviewing my disability status. She even reminded Daniel to dress nicely. We have to look like a caring family. I almost laughed. When the investigators arrived, 2 financial crime officers accompanied them. Melissa welcomed them with coffee. Daniel smiled nervously. One investigator opened a thick folder. Mr. Arthur Williams. Yes, we've completed our investigation. Melissa interrupted. So, everything's fine? The investigator ignored her. We've confirmed extensive benefit fraud committed using Mr. Williams' identity. The room went silent. Melissa's smile froze. I'm sorry. The officer placed several bank statements on the table. Payments were redirected into an account registered under your control. Her face turned white. There must be some misunderstanding. Then another officer pressed play on a recorder. Her own voice filled the room. If you sign these today, life will become much easier. What if I don't? You'll eventually end up in a care home. It would certainly solve our problems. Daniel stared at his wife in disbelief. You said that? Melissa panicked. Daniel, they're twisting my words. The investigator calmly replied. We also have bank records, and digital login histories, and electronic signatures. There is no misunderstanding. Melissa suddenly pointed at Daniel. It was his idea. Daniel jumped to his feet. What? You told me your father wouldn't notice. I never said that. Within seconds, they were blaming each other. The officers quietly watched. Then one of them said, You can continue this conversation at the station. Melissa burst into tears. Arthur, please. You know I'd never hurt you. For months, I had waited to hear one genuine apology. Instead, she only apologized after getting caught. The officers escorted her outside. Neighbors had already gathered. Whispers spread across the street. The woman who constantly bragged about taking care of her father-in-law was being driven away in a police car. Daniel collapsed into a chair. Dad, I looked at him. I know. Tears rolled down his face. I failed you. Those 4 words should have meant everything. Instead, they came far too late. He reached for my hand. I'm sorry. I gently pulled it away. When your mother died, I promised I'd always protect this family. I know, but I never realized I'd need protection from my own son. He couldn't answer. Emma arrived later that afternoon after I called her. She rushed inside. Dad! She hugged me so tightly I almost cried. When she heard everything, she simply whispered, I knew something wasn't right. I should have listened to you. She smiled sadly. You're listening now. The following month changed my life. The authorities recovered much of the stolen money. Melissa faced multiple fraud charges. News spread through our town surprisingly fast. People who once admired her suddenly learned the truth. Her carefully crafted image disappeared overnight. Daniel also faced consequences. Although investigators confirmed he hadn't received the stolen money directly, they proved he had knowingly ignored financial documents addressed to me and helped pressure me into signing away my assets. His employer wasn't impressed. He lost the management position he'd bragged about for years. Sometimes karma doesn't shout. Sometimes it quietly removes everything built on dishonesty. As for me, I sold my old company shares, not because anyone forced me, but because I chose to. I bought a comfortable, accessible home near Emma. Not with Daniel. With the daughter who had loved me without expecting anything in return. One sunny afternoon, we sat on the porch drinking tea. Emma smiled. You seem happier. I am. What changed? I looked across the garden. For a long time, I thought family meant enduring pain. And now I know family means peace. 6 months later, Daniel appeared at my front door. He looked older. Broken. Dad. I remained silent. I don't expect forgiveness. You shouldn't. I just wanted you to know. I finally understand what I lost. He wasn't talking about money. He was talking about me. I hope one day you'll be happy, I said. But that journey isn't mine to fix. He nodded through tears. I'm sorry. This time, I believed he meant it. But forgiveness doesn't always mean reopening the door. Sometimes forgiveness simply means refusing to carry the hatred any longer. I wished him well. Then I quietly closed the door. That evening, Emma placed dinner on the table. Careful, she laughed. It's still hot. No insults. No humiliation. No hidden motives. Just kindness. I smiled as we shared the meal. For years, every dinner had reminded me how unwanted I was. Now, every meal reminded me that respect isn't something you beg for. It's something you choose to protect. And losing the people who took it for granted was the smallest price I paid to finally find peace.